Hey y'all, what's going on? It's your boy Ken. I'm back with another episode of That Boy Ken. I just really want to say for those of you that have continued to stick with me on this ride, I really appreciate you guys. I really do. And of course, National Youth Pride Services, I want to really thank you for letting me use this platform as an outlet. Um, what I do want to do is come to you guys talk about something real. And when I say real, I mean real for me. And I don't know if anybody ever had this happen to them, but I know for me, it has happened. Now, usually, before I record an episode, I would, jot down notes on a piece of paper or, just little things to keep me on track. But with this specific episode, because I feel like it's something, I don't want to say near and dear, but it's definitely something that I relate to 110%. Um, so let's get into it, shall we? So, what I want to talk to you guys about is, I call it loving someone you can't have. And when I say loving someone you can't have, what I mean by that is talking to someone, not in a relationship, but you're talking to someone to build to that, and then at the end of it all, your feelings are in it, and it just kind of crushes all the way down. If that makes sense. And what I'll do, of course, I'll explain it with a personal story of mine, of course. But for me, I can definitely start by saying that me and this guy started talking out of nowhere. He came out of, like, when I tell y'all he came out of nowhere, he came out of nowhere. And of course, social media again plays a big role in a lot of stuff nowadays. So we did meet on social media. We started talking on Snapchat. I didn't even know we were following each other on Snapchat at that point. But it all started on Snapchat. Out of the blue, he inboxed me. Can't really remember what it was about. But he inboxed me. And I was like, it was really, I took a picture of food or something real crazy. You know how we do it nowadays. But I, took a picture, and he inboxed me. He was like, "Oh my gosh, it looks good," whatever and whatnot, blah blah blah. So I was like, "Oh, thank you, cool." Kept it moving. So it continued on, and he was like, "Wow, I never knew how cute you were. You are real cute. Oh my gosh, heart emojis, heart eye emojis, whatever and whatnot." Again, I'm not the type of person to read into things like that. So, I gave him a thank you. "Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you, thanks." So then it continued from there. It continued and it continued. We started talking more. Like, now at this point, we're talking, like, again, it's still on Snapchat. Haven't exchanged numbers, and y'all know my rule. I don't like to give my number out right away unless I feel like it's time, or you gave me your number and we'll work it out. But I still at this point haven't exchanged we haven't exchanged numbers. So we're talking. I believe this started last year, 2016, in May of 2016. So again, we're still talking from May to June. Now, mind you, at this point, from May to June, you're part of my routine. So I'm talking to you more and more now. Every day, good morning, good night, how was your day? All the good stuff. So, as we're talking, we're still talking on Snapchat. So I sent him my number. I said, at this point, I was like, we're talking for a while now. I think we should be able to exchange numbers. So he said to me at that point, he was just like, I'm a bad communicator. I'm really bad at texting and calling and whatnot. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I'm not going to force you to do anything you don't want to do, but you have my number. Feel free to use it. So he was like, okay, cool. But again, still continue talking. And we went from May, June, now we're in July. But by the time we get into July, he has already used my number, guys. Don't get it wrong. He's already used my number by then. So I remember before he actually used my number, he was like, hey, I want to talk to you about some things, but I want to talk to you face to face about it. Now, the reason why he said that was because at that point, he had plans to come to Atlanta because he didn't live here, number one. And number two, he had plans to come to Atlanta for, it was a Beyonce concert. So, he was like, yeah, I want to talk to you about something, but I want to talk to you face to face. So I'm thinking like, okay, is it bad or, what's going on? Because I'm trying to think, at this point, you have no explanation to give me about anything. So I'm thinking, well, like, is it bad or, what's going on? So he was like, I don't know, but I just don't want you to run away. And he didn't use the words run away, but it was in that sense. He was like, I don't want you to stop talking to me, or I don't want you to stop communicating with me after I tell you this. So I'm thinking like, Lord, fix it, Jesus. What's going on? Like, are you dying internally? Like, what's going on? So I'm the type of person, I don't know, for some reason with him, I was a lot different. Like, I did things that I would never do. Like, I would take charge. And when I say, like, I'm a very shy person. I'm very shy. Usually I don't initiate a conversation. So when he told me that, I texted him, and I believe I FaceTimed him as well. And, he was just telling me, he was just like, he was in a situation, is what he called it at the time. So he was like, yeah, I'm in a situation with my ex. We're still living together. And, we're just not in love with one another no more. So in my head, at this point, I'm thinking like, okay, well, thank you for telling me. I'm looking at the positive in it. At this point, I'm looking at the positive. So I'm like, okay, well, thank you so much for telling me. I appreciate you for telling me. But what I want to do is, I'm going to back a little bit, because I don't want nothing to be more complicated than what it is for you. So, he was like, no, I don't want you to do that. I still want to get to know you. I still want to talk to you. I still want to see you when I come there. So I'm just like, I said, okay. At this point, okay. In my head, I put it as, we're no longer getting to know each other to build from that to move into a relationship. We're no longer doing that. What we're doing now at this point, we're just getting to know each other and becoming friends, which is cool. So of course we continued our talking. I remember going to New York for 4th of July last year. And then at that point, he really became part of my daily routine. It was from phone calls, text messages, good morning, good night, where you at, what you doing, call, FaceTime at work, FaceTime while he's on his way to work. All of that stuff, it became a daily routine, because it would be times I would look at the clock, it would say 10:15 or 10:19. I'm like, he's getting ready to call me soon. So said, so done. A FaceTime will come through. That's how it was. So I'm thinking, okay, but at this point, what are we doing? Never really asked him, what are we doing? But in my head, I'm thinking, like, what are we doing? Like, I don't understand. Because you still have this situation over here you're dealing with, but you're dealing with me, but it's not on to me, it wasn't on a friendship level. To me, it was like, I won't say relationship, but it was more so of a we're getting into one soon. Be prepared to pack your bags and come on into the relationship with me. So, at this point I'm in New York, having a good time, me and my friends. So I remember while I'm in New York, he calls me and he was like, "You acting funny." So I'm like, "What do you mean?" So he's like, "You all in New York, you don't call me, you don't text." So I'm thinking in my head, well, both neither one of us have an obligation to do that with each other. You have your situation. I'm single, minding my business, so I didn't know I had to. Needless to say, well, of course, we kept talking. We kept talking. Oh, guys, I'm telling you, this right here is for real. Okay. So after New York, I'm back in Atlanta again. In the mornings on my way to work, I get a FaceTime. When he's on break at work, I get a FaceTime. Either when I leave work or he leave work, we're on FaceTime. I'm on the couch or I'm in the bedroom and we're on FaceTime. So, we're talking at this point every day. I know probably y'all thinking like, what's going on with his situation? Well, at that point, after New York, I believe the ex left because they were living together, and the ex left. Yeah, the ex did leave. Moved out. I believe moved to a whole nother state. Now he's at this point. He's at home on his own. So it kind of started becoming more constant with me. So I'm blind by it, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I don't want to be that rebound, or I don't want to be that person to cover up his reality of what's going on, because they were together for 2 years, or maybe even more than that. I believe 2+ years, maybe 2.5 years. They were together for a while, even to the point where I believe they were engaged. So in my head, I'm thinking like, there's no way you can just get over that and just come talking to me and you're good. You're not. And I had mentioned it to him. I'm like, are you okay? You good? Everything's good. Being that friend, because to be honest, that's what we started with, friends. So, he's good. He's like, yeah, I'm good. So I remember going, I think I went out of town again. Guys, I'm always out of town. I'm never in town. But, yeah, I went out of town. I think I went back home to Florida. And I don't remember specifically what or how it came about. But I remember him saying that he was coming to Atlanta because he didn't come to the first Beyonce concert. Y'all remember Beyonce trailed back around, and she had her part 2 to that tour she had. So she was coming back around to Atlanta in September. So he was like, yeah, I'm going to come to that one instead, blah, blah, blah. So I remember me asking him, usually every year I go to Orlando. If you guys are familiar with Halloween Horror Nights, I go there. I remember me asking him, I said, hey, do you want to go to Orlando with me? At that point, I'm just reaching. Because I'm thinking, we're friends. We ain't been talking that much. But I feel like we're good enough friends. We can travel. So, like I said, when I asked him, I felt like I was reaching all the way. But he replied back. He was like, yeah, he would go. So I'm like, okay, cool. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'll let you know everything. I'll plan everything. And I'll let you know. And we'll go from there. So as I'm planning everything, now he's saying to me that his friends want to come. 2 of his friends. So I'm like, that's not a problem for me. I don't mind. The more, the better. Like, come on, let's go. So, mind you, this is September, early September. Now, my birthday's in September, guys. I'm a Virgo. Ooh. But, in September, I went to Miami for my birthday. And when I left Atlanta, because I drove to Miami, so when I left, received another text, he was like, hey, What time do you leave? You know, little cute stuff. Like, I was in a relationship with him, and I know I wasn't. But everything that he was giving me was, we're in a relationship with each other. So, you know, he was like, be safe on the road. Call me when you stop. Call me when you get there. You know, everything. So, you know, I'm in Miami having a good time. Turning up. Having a great time. This is my 26th birthday. I'm having fun. You know, after I left the club, I'll go get back into the hotel room, send him a text message, or FaceTime him. That was just, again, that was our thing. That's what we did. So, if you guys are following along with this story, at this point in my head, I'm feeling like, okay, like, we must be getting to know each other on another level. Because at this point, I felt like it left that friendship. That foundation of friendship, we have already left that. And we went above that. So now we're getting to know each other on another level. So, left Miami, came back to Atlanta. October rolls around. Now, at this point, this is when we're getting ready to go to Orlando, you know, and he drove down here. It's an 8-hour drive. He drove down here to Atlanta, him and his friends, and they stayed with me. Now, I have a 2-bedroom. I do. And because I don't have anything in my second room. So the plan was to have them stay in my room. I'm just that person, y'all. Don't judge me. But my plan was to have them go into my room, and I would stay out here on the living room. I'll stay on the couch. I don't mind. It's a comfortable couch. I don't mind laying on the couch watching TV. But when his friends came, they were like, no, that's fine. We'll stay on the couch. You know, go ahead and sleep in your room. Well, I said, okay, are you guys sure? Like, no, I'm good. They was like, no, go ahead and stay in the room. Lo and behold, he's in the room with me. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I promise, guys, nothing happened. But, you know, we're in the room. We're talking. It was a nice little night. We laid down. Went to sleep. Next morning, we go to Orlando. We leave to go to Orlando. Had a great time. I had a fun time with them in Orlando. I did. I promise you I did. So, going from there, that's when everything kind of went downhill. Don't know how or why, but that's how it just kind of went downhill from there after our Orlando. So, we came back from Orlando, and then once we came back from Orlando, you know, we had a conversation. Never forget the conversation. I respect the entire conversation because it cleared up everything for me. So we were sitting here, you know, we were talking, and I was like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on with us? Because I'm confused to what's going on. You know, I thought we were just building a friendship, and I feel like at this point it's on another level. It's not even at friendship anymore. Basically, he said, you know, he's not looking for a relationship. He's not ready to go back down that road yet, especially after what he just got out of. Now, guys, let me tell you, if it's one thing I like, I love somebody that can keep it real and keep it honest with me. And that's what he did. So at that point, I'm just like, okay, cool. I respect it. I don't mind. I respect it. That's cool with me. So they left. Went back home. And Monday rolled around. So, you know, when Monday rolled around, I believe Monday was Halloween. And we're going to keep it real? Let's keep it real then. Monday rolls around. Halloween. Of course, you know, everybody's posting little man crush Mondays and blah, blah, blah. I usually don't take part. If I do a man crush Monday, it's because of my friend, or it's a friend of mine. It's usually no one I'm dating. So it's usually, I've posted friends of mine since man crush Mondays before. Just saying, oh my gosh, here's my friend, blah, blah, blah. So I posted a Man Crush Monday of him, just basically saying how much fun he is, how much fun I had with him and his friends. It was a great weekend. Nothing all lovey-dovey, none of that. It was just saying I had fun with you and your friends. It was a great weekend. So he texts me and he's like, hey, can you just take that post down? So, mind you, at this point, hours has passed. I'm thinking, like, what is he talking about? What post is he talking about? And then I remember, oh, the Man Crush. I said, yeah, sure. It's, I don't care. Like, I'll take it down. It is what it is. But it was, he said something else, Lord. I can't remember. He was like, people are making him mad. So I'm like, well, what's wrong? What's going on? Is everything cool? So he's like, I'm just sick and tired of people trying to tell me how to live my life. I'm single. I can do whatever I want. So for me, I felt like that was a shot at me. So I'm like, well, what are you talking about? I'm not trying to claim you or nothing. I'm just trying to let you know I had fun with y'all this weekend. That's it. So he was like, I know, but I'm good and blah. Like, at this point, I'm being shut out of the entire thing. So, and then I think he said something about one of his friends told him about it. Apparently somebody he knows follows me on Instagram, and I have no clue who it is. But whatever. So, fast forward, at this point we're not talking. At all. Every phone call, text message, all that ceased. No longer. Whatever. Then I remember his grandmother ended up sick in the hospital. All I can do as a friend at that point is check on you. Everything's okay. Yeah, at that point, you can, how when you talk to somebody and then they're upset, and maybe they're not even upset at you, but they're just upset, and the whole communication you can just feel it's changed. It was one-worded answers and all kinds of stuff. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, well, what did I do? Genuinely, what did I do? Because I don't know what I did. So, we, again, haven't talked. There's gaps in our at this point, we just don't talk. We'll see each other's snaps, and that's about it. So, at this point, we're like November. Thanksgiving comes around. I send a text, hey, happy Thanksgiving. He was like, thank you. And so, I was like, I was like, is everything okay? He's like, yeah. And then that was it. I said, okay, well, have a good one. And left it alone. I know it was many a times his friends had texted me and, I'm just like, well, I don't know how to communicate with him. So I kind of want to communicate with them at this point to make sure he's good. And, his one friend, she was like, Ken, you are such a great person. You have a good heart. I'm trying to tell him not to, push you away like that. And at this point, I appreciate what she's doing. But if he's not feeling it, I can't do nothing else about it. But to be honest with y'all, there's been so many times, so many nights that I cried. And I feel like the reason why I was crying so much was because at that point I felt like my heart was already with them. It was nothing that I could do. As much as I tried to shake it, I tried shaking it. Like, y'all, I tried shaking it so bad. But there was nothing that I could do. And I felt like at that point, again, my heart was with them. And when I say my heart was with them, I was in love with him. And I knew I couldn't be in love with him because he wasn't ready for that. And that's just how it works sometimes. You don't want your heart to fall for someone, and it does. And that's what happened. So moving on through, the holiday season, January rolls around. He comes here again to Atlanta, but this time doesn't stay with me. Stays in a hotel. I remember his friend did ask me. She was like, "Well, we're coming. Do you mind if we stay?" And, I was like, "I don't care. It is what it is." But they ended up staying at a hotel. Um, and then at this point in January, I've shaken it off. At least that's what I thought I did. I thought I shook it off, but I didn't. I didn't shake it off at all. Um, when I seen him, because I invited them out to eat and have drinks, and when I seen him the first time, I didn't want to talk to him at all because I felt like at this point, what do we have to talk about? Like, I felt like at that point I lost my friend. Like, I felt like I lost my friend at that point. And don't get me wrong, granted, with all the stuff that was going on with his grandmother, I never wanted to be selfish, you know? So when we went out to eat, like I greeted everyone with hugs and everything. And when I seen him, I kind of just turned my back and I kind of just walked back into the restaurant. But we were sitting down and we were talking. And then I got up and I walked over to him. I said, "Hey, are you okay?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm good." I said, "How's your grandmother doing?" At that point, he was like, "She's not doing well." I said, "Okay, well, I'm gonna continue to pray for you guys, and you have my full support on, if you need anything, just let me know." Um, so at that point, we were good. For the entire weekend, I tried to keep myself away from him, but his friends insanely became my friends, and they'll say, "Hey, you coming out with us, and you want to hang in with us?" And I'm just like, "Okay, cool, y'all done came here, why not?" So every time I hang with them, I'll see him, and it's just like, Lord. But yeah, again, I knew I couldn't love him. And then when he was here that weekend in January, all those old feelings started coming back. Like, guys, y'all don't understand. It was I've cried. There's been nights I cried myself to sleep. There was nights where my friends would call me or text me. I remember I'll never forget my friend Eddie. Hey Eddie. I remember I'll never forget. Eddie texted me one time and he said, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm in bed and I'm crying." He was like, "Well, why are you crying?" I said, "Because at that point, I'm in love with him and there's nothing that I can do about it. I'm in love with someone I could do absolutely nothing about." So he was like, "Get dressed. I'm coming to get you. I'm going to take you out. We're going out. We're going to eat." That's why I love my friends. I love all my friends, honestly. Like, I really do. Most of them see me go through hell and high water. I have a friend, my friend Brandon. He was with me going through this mess too, and he would just be like, You need to let it go. You are better than that. You are smart." Like, my friends are my rock, and I love them truly. But to continue back with the story, sorry that I teared up just a little. It's not bringing back old feelings, but it just, that's how I felt back then. But when he was here, it brought back old feelings, and it was a side of him that I never saw because when I first met him, it was just he was goofy and laughing and telling jokes, and that I feel like that's what my heart fell for. But when I seen him the second time, when he came here in January, I didn't know who that person was. I had no idea who that person was. This was somebody new, and I have no clue who he was at all. He was mean, and he was, you know, quiet and cold. Like, that's not who I knew him for. So finally, there was an incident when we were at the club that same weekend, and at this point, I was drinking, and not like heavily, but I was drinking to the point where I was tipsy enough to act a straight fool. So at the club, we're dancing, and I'm dancing all on him, and I'm doing all kind of crazy stuff, and I realized that he was getting upset, and I was like, oh God. I think that kind of sobered me up a little bit too. But at that point, I'm like, oh my God, okay, well, let me stop. But fast forward to the end of that weekend. Monday, or was it Monday or Sunday? It was Sunday. They left. Um, or no, it was Monday. I'm sorry. It was Monday. It was a Monday. So they left on a Monday, and I remember texting his friend, and I was like, hey, what time are you guys leaving? I want to see you guys before you go. Because in my head, I had a mission. I felt like I needed to apologize. You know, like I felt like I needed to apologize. So I went to their hotel. They were packing up. They got all the stuff in the car. He had forgot something upstairs, so I said, "Okay, well let me run up there with you." So as we're in the elevator, I said, "Hey, I wanted to apologize to you for the other night. I'm sorry for the way that I acted. That's not me. I'm truly sorry." He said, "It's okay. It's fine. I'm not tripping about it. It is what it is." I said, "Okay, cool." Of course, as we're standing in the elevator, he's sizing me up and down. At this point, he was like, that night you was looking really good. And I was like, "Thank you. I appreciate that." That's all it was. Gave him all a hug and they left. Um, Fast forward to that same Monday. I guess, I told him I'll check on them while they're driving. And I sent him a text and I said, hey, have you guys made it? So I didn't receive a text, or I sent the text and I went on Facebook. And as I'm going through Facebook, I see a long status, and it's his. Needless to say, his grandmother passed away. And guys, at that point, I felt hopeless. I felt helpless. Because at that point, my love for him was now different. My love for him was more I wanted to protect him. And I felt like I couldn't do it. I couldn't protect him. Me being, here and him being up north, I could not protect him. And guys, I cried. And I cried. And I cried. I went to work and I cried. And my friend was like, what's wrong? Like my friend at work, she was like, what's wrong with you? Everything's okay? I had to run it down to her and let her know what was going on. So she was just basically telling me that, sometimes when we love someone, we want to do everything that we can to protect them. And I felt like because I could do nothing, that's why it was tearing me apart. But to move forward on that, onto positive, very recently, it's just out of nowhere. It was really out of nowhere. He posted something on Snapchat, and I remember sending him a message about it was something encouraging I sent him, and he wrote me back. He was like, "Oh my, thank you so much. I really appreciate that." Then, right up under that, it said, "If I was ever an asshole to you, I'm sorry." When I received that message, I was like, wow. And I remember, I won't forget, I was in the car with my friend Brandon. We were driving, and I just remember he was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Look at this." I was like, he just apologized. And at that point, everything, I think that was my closure for everything. And I felt so much better because I felt like I lost my friend. And that was something I never wanted to do, was to lose my friend, but I felt like I lost my friend. But once he apologized, I felt like my friend came back. And I always said, and I promise y'all, I always said, if I can't have him as someone to date, not even to, or be in love with, or see my, or if he's not someone that's in my future as a significant, then I'm good with accepting him as just my friend. And to be honest, God, I love my friend. I do. And I tell him all the time, I love you. I love my friend. I encourage him as much as I could. I try to put positivity. All I want, I feel like all I wanted was my friend. And I got my friend back. So, as you can see, guys, it was a little long, but sometimes it can be hard because you grow to love someone. And sometimes that's not what you intend to happen. And you basically, grandma always said, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. We may plan, oh, we don't want to be in love, or we don't want to be in a relationship. And God is looking down like, ha 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 ha, try that again. I got something for you. That's just how it is sometimes. But loving someone you can't have is real difficult. Again, I've cried many a times over them. But when I received that apology, I felt like it closed everything. If we ever are meant to be, then hey, we're meant to be. If we're only meant to be friends, I'm completely 1,000% fine with that. I am. But again, loving someone you can't have can be tough. But you have to always remember, you have to build that friendship first. And make sure you never lose that friendship, because that's what you have to fall back on. I love you watching. Thanks for listening.